Hey, what's up, garden friends? Glad you can make it. In today's video, I'm going to be showing off some of our dragon fruit that we've been growing here. Hello. And so we are here in zone 9. Some said it could not be done. This is a tropical growing plant, a cactus, actually, that bears beautiful flowers that are very short-lived and even more beautiful and delectable fruit. I'm going to pull some off here and show you. So we've been growing these dragon fruit from small cuttings. This has taken a little over a year to get to this point where we finally have made it up above our trellises that we built here. Now they're starting to hang down. We're getting a lot of blossoms. We've had some fruit. We're starting to get quite a bit more. So I'm going to talk about what we've done, what we've kind of encountered a little bit. If you've ever wondered about growing this plant for yourself, I highly suggest you look into it. We're growing them in containers, both in plastic containers as well as some that are terracotta. And to be fair, both of them are doing fairly well, about the same. It's one of those plants that does really well with very rich soil that's well drained. So they do not want to sit in soggy, wet, overly saturated soils for a long duration. They like that water to kind of come and go. They are a cactus, but they are a tropical cactus. So they are used to getting, pretty decent, consistent amounts of rain, but in soil that typically probably would breathe very well and lets the water kind of, lets that water drain free to allow air, oxygen to come back to that soil. We've been fertilizing them organically. We use some sea kelp and fish emulsion. Probably something I should probably be doing a little bit more consistently. We've been doing kind of a micro dose of them, very kind of a light blend of it, very well diluted. But because it's so well diluted, we probably need to do a bit more. We are having some flowering and some fruiting, and it's looking pretty decent. But I would suggest that we're going to have to continue. We're going to be adding some worm castings as a top dressing, but also, just like I said, being a little more consistent, especially during this phase, to keep the plants fed. They recently put out a lot of growth. And one thing I was really excited about is I kind of neglected these, and I'll show you maybe some closer examples when I'll grab the camera. They didn't get water all summer. I mean, maybe a little bit, but they sat on this back patio getting roasted. They're just facing full south-facing sun. It gets really hot and sunny right here. So if they probably would have been a little happier had they had a little bit of afternoon shade or maybe some dappled light. We had some extreme heat this summer for quite a bit of time. Nothing that we're probably not used to, but it's something that just we have to deal with. We do get some frost, light frost, and maybe occasional freeze, but I really didn't protect these from that at all last year. They're up near this building. They're on a cement patio. I might actually experiment with on some of the coldest nights using some frost fabric over the top to kind of protect them a little bit and pull and trap in some of that heat if I notice some damage. Because that's the one thing that if you live somewhere where it gets really, really cold, that's going to be the one drawback for these. That's why when I see folks growing these online, they're in Southern California or they're in even more tropical areas where basically it never gets that cool. Their lowest lows aren't too chilly, and so the plants tend to do really well. So up here, that is kind of a drawback, the intense sun and a little bit of cold. But if you can get past that, and ours definitely have, we're looking good. Actually, they started producing so well, and we actually harvested a fruit just a few weeks ago that was so delicious. It was actually beyond my expectations. I've had dragon fruit in the past where it was kind of bland, which is fine. Some of the varieties are a little sweeter than others. Pulled off here were incredible, and so I was really excited. We only had like a few at the time. Now we've got about 4 almost ready to eat with 2 blossoms that had just bloomed this last weekend. I'll show what those look like, and so hopefully we'll get more. We've actually, like I said, we got so excited we started planting more, and so what I've learned, like I said, is just protect them from the coldest of the cold. If you have some extreme heat, get some shade over them or put them in a spot where they're a little bit sheltered. But even if you don't, they will survive. Like I said, these are out here all summer without any extra care. We finally got water to them. We fertilized them a bit, and as soon as we did, they just really rewarded us. So hopefully we can continue on. They're not perfectly healthy. I've seen some rust and some issues like that, but all in all, they've been pretty hands off. They've been a pretty low key plant to have. So I like that they're vertical, so you can utilize your space. But so even if you are considering going in ground, I know some people really want to plant them in ground. We've had a lot of success in the pots just because it ensures proper drainage. We can move them around as needed. But I would be curious to see how well they would do in ground as well. If I did, same thing, you have to really heavily amend your soil to increase not just the fertility, but really just the drainage. You want these roots probably need air as much as they're going to need some water. They really want to breathe. So if you do go in ground, just know, just feed that soil, enrich it, a lot of compost, and then perhaps some mulch around the top, especially if you're going to be dealing with some cold weather. But I'm going to show you a little bit closer. Let me go ahead and pull one off. The students are ready. They're going to be coming over soon. And so I wanted to show you some of this fruit. So it's pretty incredible. I'm just going to cut right behind that little connection point. I don't want to do too much damage to the actual branch. And voila, there you go. Let me cut this in half to see. Let's see how ripe this little beauty is. Dragon fruit are so delicious. If you have health concerns with eating too much, sugar in your diet with too much fruit, dragon fruit is, I guess, low glycemic. So it's a kind of a little cheat, little workaround. Let me cut right through here with our knife, and hopefully the camera has got. What does that look like? Oh my gosh, look at that. Yeah, so this is the kind we had. And you see they're a little bit on the smaller hand, but like I said, we just started fertilizing it. Probably to me, it could be the weather here, like I said, with the hotter temps, but now it is cooling down. So we'll see. We've had them come off a little bit bigger, but to be fair, this is pretty delicious, and we'll accept these just the way they are. I'll slice these up. I'm gonna go actually, maybe I'm gonna go surprise some of our staff and students. We have several more on here, so when the kids show up, I'll have them harvest these and we'll slice them up. But look at that. So we've had some varieties here that have this nice deep magenta flesh. You can get ones where it's a little lighter pink, reds and whites and yellows and oranges, everything in between. So now that I'm getting excited that they actually grow. We've had some success with really actually minimal effort. The biggest effort is just planting them. So we have the 4x4 posts. It's just, I think, in there, I probably have some holding it in the bottom just to get started, and then now just all that soil and roots are in there, and then we've got this little ring around the top, this square, and it just allows them to come up. Once they get above this top, when they first start, then we cut them, and that helps trigger more growth. They cascade down and kind of hang down and waterfall over the edges, and that helps push the plant into flowering and fruit production. So for us, we're going to continue to make sure they get a little bit more adequate water than we did in the summer. Like I said, they are a tropical vine, so they do want some moisture, but they want it to go away in between waterings, and we're going to feed them. We're going to feed. These are plants. They're pretty big. They're in a relatively small container, even though it looks like a big pot to me. But I think with some additional nutrition and some more consistent watering, I think we're going to have some better luck. For pests, as far as pests are concerned, we're looking pretty good. Like I said, we've seen some rust and some other things that we can deal with some fungicides, and there's some really fun ways you can deal with that we're going to experiment with the diluted alcohol and things like that. But for the most part, there's just some blemishes. The growth is coming pretty good, and we're going to continue on. So if you want to learn more about dragon fruit, hang with us. I'm sure we'll have more videos as these go along. We just planted a bunch more. So I went from having just 3 dragon fruit posts in here to now I think we doubled. So now I think we have 6 now, and I might even plant more. So we've been taking cuttings and propagating them, which they're really easy to clone and propagate. You literally just take a snip off. We let it sit out for a day in the shade, let that callus dry over, and then we just stick it in some nice, well-drained potting soil and just keep it moist and in the shade for a few weeks, and then boom, you'll get roots, and then you got a brand new plant that you can share, give away, or replant for some more. But look at that. That is so good. I want to eat this myself, but I've promised some students that I would share that with them. So I'm going to go over. Time for me to go share this with some. I hope that you had a good time learning about this. The blossoms are so cool. I'll have to do a whole new video on those to show you the intricacies and the beauty of the flowers. They're so cool. Like I said, they're short-lived. They'll bloom for just one night, and they look really gorgeous when they do. By the time I get here in the morning, they're already starting to close up, but you can see all the anthers, this wild stamen that comes out, and just really, really cool. So we help them kind of tickle them a little bit to increase the pollination factor. You can use your finger or chopstick, whatever. But it's super cool. So if you've been curious about growing dragon fruit, like I said, even in zone 9, where it gets a little frosty from time to time, you can still do it with some success. May not be as good as all those Southern California folks and the people in the subtropics and tropics, but still worth a treat, still worth the effort, I think. And so I've been having a blast with it. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please, of course, like, share, dig into that like button and the subscribe button, because we'd love to have you back more. Until next time, garden friends, happy gardening to you all. Please never stop growing.